Hi, everyone, and welcome to this installment of What Does Lisa Do? Thank you so much for joining me. Today's topic is mediumship. Mediumship is the conduit between heaven or the other side and this earth. During mediumship, you receive messages. You can receive messages from your departed loved ones, your angels, your spirit guides, the ascended masters such as Jesus, Blessed Mother Mary, Moses, whomever wishes to come through to speak in spirit. So I wanted to take a moment now and explain how I am a medium, what my abilities are, and what you can expect from an appointment. I want to say first that mediumship was not the first thing that I offered when I came into practice. 14 and a half years ago, my first services were an intuitive coaching session, which was explained in my last episode, along with natural healing and hypnosis. But I found when I was conducting my intuitive sessions, whether it was in my office or in others' homes, that I would start to see loved ones out of the corner of my eye. Now, at first, I didn't know quite what I wanted to do with that. So I ended up saying, yes, I do see you. And they would sometimes say, I know you see me. And so I would ask them why they were there. And so eventually, in short order, it was obvious to me that that was something I was also supposed to offer. So it came on board as part of a service, probably within the same year. Mediumship is one of the most important, the most popular services that I offer. There have been times when I, as a natural spiritual teacher, I've wanted to expand beyond it, but when I mention that to my clients, they always ask me politely and very emotionally, don't ever do that, no. So, of course, I wish to honor that, and for right now, keep providing that service. So I want to share very briefly, going to go into a small screen, the synopsis of what mediumship is, and then explain to you about my actual abilities. So one moment with me, bear with me. And here we are. So what is mediumship? Mediumship is really receiving messages from heaven, but also talking to heaven. It's kind of a conduit. A medium is a conduit between this dimension and other dimensions. I work solely with the dimension of heaven, at different levels of heaven sometimes, but most of the time I'm working with the dimensions of the 4th, 5th, and 6th levels that hold your departed loved ones. So I said two things, didn't I? It can include departed loved ones, but sometimes I will raise even higher up, especially when I'm doing healing or during a mediumship session. Sometimes angels will come through, other spiritual helpers such as spirit guides and masters. Now, we all have spirit guides. Besides our departed loved ones, they are different most of the time. We have at least 1 to 2 spirit guides, 1 to 2 guardian angels that are also separate from spirit guides. And sometimes, every once in a while, we will attract into our lives an ascended master to work with us. So a medium would provide messages and information from all of those sources. I'm going to now, evidence. Evidence. This is what I provide as a medium. Evidence, because I am an evidential medium. An evidential medium will provide signs, memories, names, how they passed, and special months. So I want to explain a little bit more intimately how I do that. So I'm now going to hopefully be able to stop sharing and come back to you on a full screen where you can see me. Here we are. This is all very casual. So when I say that I provide signs, I can see, hear, and feel the other side. I can see your loved ones. I can hear your loved ones through telepathy, though sometimes I accidentally talk out loud. I can feel how they feel, their emotions. I can feel, hear, or be able to see how they passed. And it comes in different ways. Sometimes it's all at once, and sometimes it's just one of those things. For instance, if you come into my office or I'm seeing you in another setting, such as a business or someone's home, if I ask you if your loved one is departed, it's because I'm just hearing about them in some way. Someone in spirit is saying they're okay, or I'm just feeling them and I don't see them yet and I'm not hearing them. So if only one of the three abilities are there, I'm going to ask you if they're here or past, because I do also feel the living, can hear the living. And so I want to make sure that what I'm tuning into is actually the other side. Now, when they come forward, names come up to me as a banner, and sometimes I'll hear a name. So because it comes across like a banner or I hear a name, I'll often ask, who is this? But in all honesty, I'm asking them as well at the same time, who is this? And sometimes they answer me before the client. Sometimes the client doesn't know who it is because we have many people around us that we can't remember. And we will occasionally get greats and friends from high school that we're forgetting, or even earlier childhood. But they don't mind, because the whole purpose of departed loved ones and angels and spirit guides and coming forward is to help you, to be loving and supportive towards you. And so they don't mind if you have a moment of memory loss or don't remember them at all. The important part is their message. That's why they're truly coming through. When I talked about special months before, often they'll bring up their own month of passing. Sometimes they'll bring up the date. They will bring up a birthday that has just happened on Earth or is about to happen. So they're kind of known to show balloons and to wish the client a belated or early happy birthday. Sometimes if it's on the day, a happy birthday. They will also bring up oftentimes special month because it's the day they met their spouse, or the date that they knew that they were pregnant with the client. That is my job to figure out why they're bringing up those dates, and I will fulfill that information. When I say that I hear or I feel or I see how they pass, sometimes they just emotionally talk about their passing. And in that emotion, I can get an idea about how they passed. Sometimes they'll show me what happened, but it's not like Hollywood. It's not gross. I recall one time that a grandmother came in and she had lines going all over her body as if she were Humpty Dumpty that had fallen and had to be put back together again. And that's exactly as I described it to my client. And the client said, yes, that makes sense to me because my grandmother was killed in a bomb. So there was not the gore of the moment, but it was enough for the client to understand that it was indeed their grandmother. Receiving messages from spirit is very healing. It's a wonderful healing tool. Like any healing tool, it's not often the cure, but it can set your mind at peace. It can help you along the processes and steps of grief. And that's the reason why I do it. I don't do it because of ego. I don't do it because it's now cool to do it. Though I have to say, being a medium is easier nowadays. It's no longer during the days of unsolved mysteries. You know, I'm still a little bit unique, I suppose, but I'm not the weirdest one in the room anymore, I guess. So with the current shows and movies and such, we have come to, I think, accept more mediumship and the benefit that it brings. Yesterday, I was on my day off looking over YouTube, and I saw a religious person speaking as if they were a prophet. They had received messages from heaven. We've always had prophets since the beginning of time. But oftentimes people say, well, that's a good prophet, and mediums are a bad prophet. They are masquerading, or the people that come in are masquerading, or they're making up, or they're phony, or they're working for the devil, or all kinds of horrible things. I cannot speak for anybody else but myself, but I can tell you honestly that I work with a higher energy. I do work with heaven. I do not allow anything that's at a lower energy to come into my presence. How can you know if you are really experiencing a departed loved one around you, especially if you think you see them? And how do you know if someone who is a Jesus or a Blessed Mother Mary is coming into your room? Well, those who on the other side will never say anything to you that is threatening, frightening, overly negative. For instance, let me give an example. It's not to say they won't tell you something that you don't want to hear, but they're never going to tell you to harm another. They're never going to tell you to harm yourself. They're never going to speak in a way that is satanic or negative or harmful. That is not our departed loved ones' intention at all. And if you ever go to anyone that tells you something like that is happening, then you need to go. You need to walk out of the room immediately. What I do, if I think anything like that is around me at all, I start to pray. And I was raised a Catholic girl, and I have those prayers in me. So whenever I have a doubt of what energy is around me, I'm going to throw out Our Father and Hail Mary like it's nothing. I may not be able to scream out of terror, but I can throw out those prayers. They're so embedded with me, and they work. If there's something that enters this room that needs to clear out, it clears out immediately, because that which is of lower energy cannot stand when you invoke the name of God or the energy of God. Keep that in mind. It's the greatest weapon. You can also call on your angels to help you as well, and they will chase the bad guy away. Okay? So how did I become a medium? Many people ask me that. The question they usually ask is, when did you know? Well, the thing is that everyone is born a medium. Every young child, and you all have been there, and you all probably have children or grandchildren that see the other side. We were born with the natural gift to see the other side. We were born still connected to heaven. I was as well. The difference is that mine was a little bit stronger, and I desired to hang on to it longer. And I also knew at a very young age, actually a very young age of 3, that I was here to be a spiritual teacher. So I know it gave me an openness to hang on to that ability longer than others. Most young people will lose their ability around the age of 6 years old because they've now been exposed to the outer world, away from their parents, or they're absorbing more of our everyday world, so they're wishing to block those esoteric energies. But I did not. I actually did not go through a period of blocking mine until I was in my later teens and 20s, when I desired just to be like everybody else, just to fit in. But then when I got to be about 29 or 30, I really missed it. I feel like it felt very much like the separation people can go to that's separated from God. I felt a separation from that higher energy. And there was a hole, there was a void, there was a feeling of being lost. And so I went towards it again. I was encouraged to go towards it again by a peer, and I did. And I started to study, practice, and eventually, as I told you in the beginning, I was led to include it in my work. It is something very valuable. How can you connect into the other side? Watch the corner of your eyes. These are your mediumship eyes. When you turn to the side, either side, you have just seen someone from the other side, and you've turned to look at them. But this eye is closed. So you don't see them, so you think it's your imagination, but you did just see a departed loved one. Try to linger there and notice your departed loved one. Are they female? Are they male? What date is it? What do they look like? You can get all this information. Also, try to center yourself. We get so caught up in the busyness of this world that we forget to center ourselves. So when someone asks me, how do I develop my abilities, I always say meditation. You must meditate. Meditation is the key. But you don't have to meditate to center yourself. Just center yourself on what you're focusing on in that moment, whether it's washing a dish or taking a walk. Centering yourself will allow you to open your senses up to what's happening around you. And then you'll probably notice that someone's touching your hair, or that you smell a smell, or that you hear something. Maybe there's noise going on in the kitchen when nobody's out there. That is your connection to spirit. And then once you've become an expert at that, then you can try to throw out questions to them. You should always talk to them, by the way, because they always hear you. We are open books. I tell people all the time, especially my clients, we're in a world right now where we're so concerned about our privacy. But there is no privacy when it comes to heaven. You are an open book. You are an open radio signal. They hear you and feel you in every way, your thoughts, your words, and your feelings. And they work with that, and they work to help you. They're all about love. They're all about helping you. So talk to them out loud. I just talked to my angels earlier today. I asked them to help me with something. I promised them I'd do my part. I made them a part of my team in a very direct way. They're always a part of my team, but this was a special project. So I hired them for the special project. And you can do that as well. I encourage you to do it because it makes life here so much better. So how can you book a mediumship session? Well, on my website, lisahopp.com, that's LISAHOPP.com. Right now, mediumship sessions are only available for an hour. The hour is $125. You can include intuitive coaching in the hour if you choose to. There's also, by the way, a 90-minute appointment that also includes intuitive coaching and mediumship. So I encourage you to book that, and I hope that you will. Or perhaps, as well, you can also book a group. There are local groups that you can book, meaning local area within 30 minutes of my office. And I also travel for mediumship too. I also do mediumship events for the public for once in a while, a good cause. I will do that. So look for that, groups and private appointments on my website. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much for joining me. And the next session will probably be about healing. Thank you so much. Take care.